Hey friends, my name is Isabel. If you have been following me for a while, you already know I operate under the name Radical Wellness with Isabel Emily. Um, you know me as Isabel Emily G online on different platforms. This is my first video on YouTube, and I'm here because I'm celebrating the beginning of my 7th year in business. And that's actually a funny story because I started my business in 2020, like a lot of people did, and I had no idea what it was going to be when I was starting it. I took a Reiki course and was attuned to level 1 shortly after we had to shelter in place the first time. And I was talking with a friend recently. We were going to collaborate on a project. We probably still are. And we were talking about the birth of our business or the birth chart of our business. And I was like, yeah, I think mine's like in September, maybe December. I remember the great conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter being a big deal when I was formulating what I wanted to offer and really stepping into my voice as a healer, creative, somebody who just wants to help heal the world. And I remember thinking, yeah, spring, or not spring, sorry, fall, winter, that's probably when I started my business, like the actual birth date. I then come across, long story short, I tell long stories. So if you like long stories, stick around to this channel. There's going to be a lot of them. But I was on social media, I had to change a setting. I come across Facebook, and it says that I started my business in June, on June 10th, actually, of 2020, which I was like, wow, the audacity to already have a business name and to be starting a business, declaring that it started way before I remember, which then sidebar conversation with said friend, we were thinking, oh, must have jumped timelines, which is another thing I can get into at a later date. All that is to say, since June 10th, 2020, I have been putting all of my energy into creating a business around spiritual alignment for myself and for others. Part of that is based on the fact that my midheaven is in Cancer, so very nurturing as far as work or what I do for work or how I hold space. And yeah, I had no idea that I would become what I am today. So yeah, I'm starting the 7th year of my business. I've been in business for 6 years, and I have grown a lot. If you sign up for my newsletter, it says grow with me because we're always doing that. We're always growing. We're always evolving. Sometimes devolving, but always evolving. So yeah, this is my first video on YouTube. I've posted quite a bit on Instagram, Facebook, dipped my toe into TikTok, didn't catch the didn't catch the wave fast enough, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I'm here on YouTube to answer a call. I've been called to share more, to reach a wider audience, to be seen, which has been one of my journeys, challenges in life. And I'm here to kind of debut on YouTube, even though I've been watching YouTube videos since college. So, yeah, as far as my favorite question I get asked at least once a week, how long have you been doing this? And the short story, this is actually really appropriate. If you can see the books behind me, this side is my partner's, that side's mine. Actually, that top shelf is also mine. Most of these books are mine. During the pandemic, I was asked, or not asked, I was asking myself, like, who am I? What am I doing? What do I want to offer? I'm tired of working for people. I did not have a good experience being an employee and always tried to work my way up to management, only to find that you could only go so far. So, the advice that I got, and I can't remember where I got it, I want to give it credit because I've shared this story countless times, is if you want to start a business or if you want to know like what your gifts are, what you're here for on this planet in this timeline, to look at your bookshelf and look around your house objectively and notice the themes. So I was like, oh yeah, plants, done. You can see those. And art, my partner and I met in grad school. We're both photographers by passion, not completely by trade anymore. And I just remember thinking like, oh yeah, my bookshelf. Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. I'm looking at it and I'm like, ooh, astrology, numerology, witchcraft, a lot of esoteric content, chakra healing, mudras, Mayan astrology, all the things, right? So I was like, oh, right. Yeah, that's been my interest this whole time. Awakening your psychic gifts, Edgar Casey, some really deep cuts. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've been studying this stuff my entire life. I've been studying astrology since I was 13. And I remember thinking, like, this is who I am. This is who I've always been. Like, it makes sense to pursue this finally. And so that's when I signed up for a Reiki course. So I was like, yeah, energy healing. I've always believed in energy. I often tell people that energy is the first language I learned to speak, but I didn't really have anybody to speak it with. Like, nobody in my family was sort of on that same wavelength conscientiously and had the wherewithal to be like, oh, this kid is picking up on things. Instead, I was just sort of deemed sensitive or shy, reserved, which in essence, yes, I was, but I was processing a lot more than I knew that I was processing. Definitely an empath, as I believe we all are. We can just, some are a little more open. So here I am looking at my bookshelf and I'm like, oh, right, all this esotericism, that's it, that's the path. So I started doing Reiki. I had some cards, I had some oracle cards that I bought within months of dating my partner. And there were Earth Magic oracle cards. I think I have the book that goes with it on the shelf behind me. But I didn't get into tarot until about 2018. And a friend gifted me my first deck, which is a superstition. You don't have to be gifted your first deck. I answer that question a lot too. But come 2020, I was like, okay, yeah, Reiki is it. And then I got my yoga teacher certification right after because I've been doing yoga since I was 19. I was like, I'm always trying to get people to do yoga. Even my coworkers, when I worked at a coffee shop, I was having them do tree pose while at the register. And so I was like, yeah, this is it, healing space, let's go. And shortly after that, I came across a coaching program that really spoke to me. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is what I already kind of do. People have always come to me for advice. But now I have the tools and the language to sort of do it professionally. And then shortly after that, I fell into the rabbit hole of Akashic record reading and took a program on that as well. And so that sort of became the framework of my business, my spiritual practice, and my offerings. Since then, somehow, some way, I'm a well-known tarot reader, which was kind of shocking for me to accept for a little while, because I thought that the card reading aspect of my offerings was going to be an add-on or a gift. And instead, that's kind of what I'm known for, which is, I mean, it's a gift. I get to meet people where they're at with a divination tool that tells a story visually. Like I said, I come from a photography background, so that felt like a easy jump. And it's a good touch point for people that are, I'd say, energetically, spiritually curious and want to dip their toe in, but they don't want to commit to a full-on like Reiki session or an Akashic reading. Most people don't even pronounce the word correctly. No shame. I, as a child, asked my mom what scapegoated meant, and it's the word scapegoated. no shame in mispronunciation, but yeah, a lot of people come to me with like really wide open questions, and I've always been the one that's like, yeah, let's workshop that. Let's figure that out. Let's think about it. What do you think? This is how I feel. So I'm here to celebrate my successes, to be seen, to share, to hold space for you guys in however you want to show up. I probably won't be reading comments for a little while just because. But yeah, this channel will be a little bit of everything, which some people find a little unorganized or confusing, but it works for me. I'm able to sort of synthesize all of the interests and gifts and observations that I have and share them with you. And that's anything from medical intuition, not totally claiming to be a medical intuitive, but I do get these nudges around people who are having different physical issues or ailments. And it's almost like I can sense or guess that I kind of might know the cause, or at least part of the cause. And that can lead to opening up into a different avenue of healing. And I've done a lot of that work on myself as well. I'm hypermobile and a few other things, which is oddly trending right now. Um, yeah, there's the call to just help someone step into a new way of thinking or being, which is kind of my favorite thing, to be like, did you ever think of it this way? And watch someone's mind go and make the connections, because I'm making connections all the time. I'm recognizing or witnessing patterns all the time. And a lot of them are nonverbal, which is also kind of who I am at my core, or at least as a kid. I wasn't mute, but I definitely chose my words, and more often than not, I have more feelings and energetic insights than I do words for what I'm picking up on. So you might witness that in some of what I offer. I will be doing tarot readings here and there on this channel. I'll also just be sharing my observations, my insights, um, about what's happening in the collective. I do see a lot of patterns, and I write about them in my newsletter too, if you decide reading is more your speed. Um, but yeah, I think I'm just arriving and settling into the fact that I'm in a milestone. This is year 7, and it's starting, and 7 is my favorite number, and 7 is a number associated with kind of like intuition or psychic activity. So I feel like this next year is gonna take shape in a way that I'm not expecting at all. And I tend to try not to have expectations anyway, because then you end up disappointed. So this next year is going to be interesting, and I will be sharing it with you, um, sharing my journey and sharing what I'm observing and picking up on, and offering different ways to heal and connect. Speaking of, another thing to share, actually, the last 5 years, I've been hosting different recurring events. One specifically was called Radical Ritual, where we got together once a month, and then we got together on the cross quarter days and the seasonal days, like the solstices and equinoxes, to honor what's happening in the sky and how it's mirroring us, or what's happening in our bodies or in our energy, personally and collectively. And so it was part education and part practice. I'm a Capricorn. I'm not going to hide that from people. So that's kind of how I roll. And all of my offerings kind of take that arc. I teach you, I show you, I explain to you why these things are important, and then we get to play with them. And recently, it was back in the winter, I was feeling like, not that it run its course, but that definitely had a peak, and then it was dwindling a little bit, and I was kind of like, okay, spirit, what am I doing? Why is this shifting? What am I supposed to do? And I had to sit and listen and sit and listen, which is the hardest thing for us in this overstimulated society, to really just sit and listen to your intuition, to your guides, to actually like meditate. You'd be surprised how many people tell me they can't meditate. I've got tips and tricks for that. Come see me. But I remember thinking, like, what's happening? What's the meaning of this? And the universe showed me essentially that it had run its course and it was time for me to offer something different. And so I stepped into that. I started a coven, which, is still growing and forming and becoming what it's supposed to be. But essentially, that was the message. And so I went through a few things. A few months went by, and I said, you know what? I'm going to bring Radical Ritual back. I miss it. I loved it. It was great. I brought it back and got no traction. And I was like, okay, universe, I'm listening. I'm listening. And that's the same thing that's happening here. I just keep getting this message. You have to share. You have to be out there more than just on Instagram. So I'm putting myself out there. And that is one of my biggest life lessons as somebody who has played small for a very long time, especially in really close relationships and friendships. So thank you for sticking around, for listening, for witnessing me. And yeah, if you want to keep in contact or get to know more about me, you can find me on my website, IsabelEmilie.com, ISABELEMILIE.com. Same thing on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, Isabel Emily G. And you will see that I will be posting about gatherings. I have a plant medicine retreat coming up that I'm co-hosting, co-creating. This is our 4th one in Mexico, and it's filling up really fast, which I'm grateful for. And yeah, I'm just here holding it down for spirit, holding space, and ready to grow in front of you and with you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I might read the comments. I'm only human. Actually, I'm more than human. And you are too. And yeah, just ride this wave with me. It's gonna be fun. Until then, I'll see you next post.